Okay, welcome to the webinar of web programming course from JPassion.com. Today's topic is JSTL Part 2. So last week we covered part of the JSTL. Today we are going to cover the rest of it. So last week we covered what is and why JSTL, and we covered core tags, and then we covered database access tags. And in this presentation, we are going to cover XML tags and internationalization and expression language function tags. So let's start with XML tags. So it provides flow control and iteration and general purpose and parsing and transformation tags. It's mainly for manipulating XML document. So XML tags are used to access information stored in XML document as expected, and it's using XPath expression as a way of selecting pieces of your XML document. For those of you who have participated in web services XPath webinar a couple of weeks ago, this might be another example where you can use XPath. So here basically what you're saying is this is XPath expression, and then you're actually setting the result of it to variable D. And same thing for this. This is the XPath expression, and then result of it will be displayed. In this case, we're using X out. Okay, so flow control and iteration and general purpose XML tags actually work pretty similar to corresponding tags in core tags. So if you actually see the previous slide, you can see there are some similarities between XML tags and core tags that we have learned last week. For quick XPath review, for those of you who are not familiar with the XPath, for those of you who took again XPath presentation webinar a couple of weeks ago, this might be a bit too basic. So let's say we have an XML document like this. We have a games as root node, root element, and then this one has two countries node, and each country has one or two athletes. An athlete has a name, sports, and age, and gender. So XPath is an expression language for referencing particular parts of XML document, and XPath expression uses a tree model to represent an XML document. So when you are using XPath expression of /games/country/athlete, it will result in a node set. Node set is a set of node corresponding to this expression. Okay, so basically what it's saying is give me all athletes of all countries of games node. So in this case, it will result in, let's say, how many? So 1, 2, 3 node in a node set, in the resulting node set. Okay, so expression result in 4 different data types. Node set, this is probably the most important data type. Node set and Boolean and number and string. So node set is a collection of nodes from XML document, and node set is a return type of location path expression. So example of location path expression is something we have seen like this. Okay, and we'll see some more examples of this location path. And location path is composed of location steps. Again, this is an example of location path, and each of this is a location step here. Okay, and a location step, in this case athlete, can be qualified with a predicate. In this case, sports is sailing. So what this XPath notation, XPath expression is saying is that give me all the node, all the athletes node whose sports is sailing on the country and on the games. And this is a case that we are using predicate for country, location step. So give me all the athlete whose country ID is Denmark, and that should be on the games node. Okay, so other examples of node set. So here, games, country, athlete, this is something that we have already seen. All athlete elements, which has a country parent element, which in turn has a games parent element. This one is second athlete element on the first country element on the games node. And here, all athlete elements whose child element, sport, has string value setting. Okay. And this one, all athlete elements whose parent element, country, has ID attribute value Denmark. So relatively straightforward. And this is a case that all child elements on the games country, and this one is all sport element in a subtree that begins with the games and country. So this one is any node, any sports node, regardless whether this is an immediate child, it is an immediate child or not. Okay. Okay, so XPath type coercion is a conversion. So XPath specification defines rules on how node set, boolean, and number strings are to be converted to each other. So node set is converted to boolean if node set is not empty and false otherwise. And node set will be converted to string, and the rule is the string value of the first node in the node set. Okay, so for example, if you're actually using this XPath node, expression, what it means is that give me all sports node. So if you actually go back to our example document, there are 1, 2, and 3 sports node, right? But if you convert the node set to a string type, so let's go back to conversion of string type. So if you convert this one to the string type, the reason it's going to be converted in string type is because out. Okay, so when you're using X out, just like you're using core C:out, it's going to convert into string type. Okay, so when you convert this node set to a string type, basically it's going to be a string value of the first node in the node set. So the first node in the node set in this case is swimming. Okay, so actually the first node is actually this. Okay, so sports, swimming, and the string value of this one is the string, the text things inside the element. Okay, so it will result in string. Okay, number, node set is first coerced to a string, and which is then coerced to a number. Okay, functions, you can also use XPath functions like a count. So if you specify count with a node set, it will return number of nodes in a node set. So here, if you have a games and country, it will return number 2, okay, because there are 2 country nodes. ID object selects a node with a specified ID, and the last returns the size of the current node set. And string functions, you can actually have a substring of the string of this. Okay, and you can also use a boolean function. Okay, so that is the quick XPath tutorial. So let's now move on to the JSTL tags. So when you say x:parse, it's going to parse XML document and into a scoped variable. Okay, so let's see an example. So in this case, what we are saying, we are using core tag of set, right? So we have XML text. So this piece, so from A to A, this XML document will be set into a variable called XML text. And then we are referring to that XML text, this piece, into A. So when you're using parse, what that means is that I want to parse this XML fragment and save it into A. Okay, so now when I try to display the value of, let's say, so this is A variable. So here again, we are using expression language $A. That means I'm actually referring to a variable that contains this fragment, And then I'm using this XPath notation //C. That means I want to actually have all the node of C. So first of all, this expression is basically resulting in a node set. In this case, the resulting node set will have just one node of this C, foo, and C/C. Okay, opening and ending tag. And then when you're using out, it's basically convert this the XPath notation into a string value. So it's going to be string value of the first node. Since we have only one node, it's going to be string value of foo. Okay, this one is I want actually. So the node set is, you know, from A/D. That means all the D node of all A node, and we have only one in the node set, and the string value of that is bar. So if you run this application, if you display this parse.jsp page, what you get back is foo and bar. Okay, xout. We saw an example of this. It works like a cout tag, so converts a node set type to a string type. Okay, so again, the string value, when it gets converted into string type, the node set will take the string value of the first node in the node set. Okay, and the string value of an element is the concatenation of all descendant text node, no matter how deep. So suppose I have a node of this. Okay, the string value of this one is going to be the concatenation of all descendant text nodes. So here it will pick up this one, swimming, 23, and M, and that string value of this node is going to be like this. Okay, so you know, this is an example xout. So here we are displaying all sport and all country. This is actually wildcard. You know, any node on the country, and this is the any node on the doc. So here we're actually saving the document into doc. Okay, this expression, and then we have XPath expression. Okay, so when you run the application, the result is going to be something like this. Okay, so this is a continuation. So here, you know, we have gone through the expression of this one. So I'm not going to actually go through this one one more time. And this is a result. Okay, moving forward. And you can also use built-in scope variables in your XPath expression. For example, param, header, and cookies, init param, page scope, request scope, and session scope, and application scope. Actually, I don't know what this foo is all about. Okay, so the session scope EL variable. So in this case, you know, basically I am referring to profile variable of session scope. Okay, so you know, profile should be saved as an attribute in the session object. And here init param, here string value of my product ID context parameter. Okay, so this is actually context parameter value. Okay, EL functions. So you know, basically EL functions is getting a length, converting to uppercase, lowercase, substring, and trimming, replace, index, start with, end with, the contains, and split, join, escape XML. So a bunch of those things. Okay, so this is an example. So here, you know, when you're using uppercase, basically for name, I want to truncate to 30 characters and display it in the uppercase. And this one display the text value prior to the first star character. Okay, so substring before. And here, scope variable name may contain white spaces at the beginning or end. So you're going to trim it first, and then otherwise we end up with pluses in the URL. Okay, so here, so this is URL that we have, you know, learned last week, and here we have a base and customer. This is expression of base, and then we just trim the name. Okay, so again, substring, and you can use the if. We learned if logic last week, and here we contains whether it has this search string, and you're going to ignore case in terms of comparison, and display the last 10 characters of the text value, and replace this value with this, so pretty much the standard string functions. Okay, moving forward, internationalization and text formatting tags. So we have setting locale and messaging and the number and data formatting, 3 different categories of tags. Okay, so let's look into these tags in a bit more detail. Okay, so before we move on, let's do a little bit of quick 18N internationalization review. Okay, so there are 2 different ways that you can handle locale. So your application, your client, the browser will send a request that contains locale information. So depending on, your web application wants to support different locale, meaning your users could be coming from, using different browsers with a different locale set. Okay. So typically that's how things work. You are going to sense what locale the browser is using, because the browser will send the locale information in the HTTP header. Okay. Or it could be actually application-based handling. So, for example, depending on the login name, you might in fact actually provide a different, let's say, the page. So suppose if you're writing internal application, and if you want to display different locale-based page, depending on who that person is, certainly you could do that. But this is pretty rare. Typically you are going to depend on request header coming from the browser rather than business logic. Okay, so we're going to mostly focus on the first, the scheme of selecting locale. Okay, so how do you provide the locale page? Suppose browser will send, the HTTP header in which it contains locale information. So one scheme is you can actually have a different JSP page for different locales. So you have a Chinese version of JSP page, you have Spanish version of the JSP page. So that's certainly an option, but it's not recommended. It's just too many pages that you have to deal with, right? Okay, meaning so this is rarely used. In fact, it's not used at all. The recommended scheme is using a bundle. So you are going to have a page, okay, a single page, and then you are going to use a message bundle. So the message bundle is basically capturing the language-specific strings. Okay, so here in your code, in your JSP page, you're going to actually have just a single JSP page in which you're going to specify the key value, and depending on the locale coming from the client, different bundle will be used to display the page. Okay, so if a Chinese browser is actually requesting a page, then this page will actually will use resource bundle of the Chinese language, and then we'll actually use Chinese version of the value of this key. Okay, so that is the way the application should be designed. Okay, moving forward. So that's the end of quick I18N review, internationalization review. Okay, so let's talk about the JSTL tags. So when you're using set locale, you are overriding client-specified locale for a page. Okay. So even though the browser says, I'm actually, my locale is set with the Chinese, but you can override by setting locale. So, instead of actually displaying Chinese version of the page, you are going to say set locale to English. Okay, so you're overriding. Request encoding is set the request character encoding in order to be able to correctly decode the request parameter values whose encoding is different from ISO 8859.1. What it means is, you want to actually find, if it is not based on 8859.1, you want to find out what is the request encoding, okay, so that you can actually interpret, decode request parameter values, okay. So if the request parameter values is actually some, some characters, and then you have to actually interpret that, right? Okay, now messaging tags. So again, this is the bundle. Specify the resource bundle for a page, and then you can use this message key, and this is the key value that will be used to select the value. Actually, you know, the language specific string for the localized string. So use to output localized string, and you can also have a param substring subtag provides a single argument. Parametric replacement to the compound message or pattern in its message tag. So let's see an example of this. Yeah, so we haven't actually seen an example of this param, but it works like a param as we have seen in the core tags. Okay, so in this case, I'm actually setting, you know, regardless of client, the locale, you know, I'm actually setting the locale of this page to DE, which is German language. And the bundle I'm actually using is this. Okay, so this resource bundle is under this package. Okay, and the message I'm actually displaying is I'm actually using this one as a key. So it's going to go to the German bundle, and then we'll get the value, German language version of this key. Okay, so what gets displayed is like this. Okay. So formatting, so the number and the time zone and all these things actually differently, they are displayed differently, different format depending on the locale, right? Okay, so that is these are for those things. Okay, all right, so this is for setting and getting time zone and parse localized numbers and dates, and this one is output localized numbers and dates. Okay, so this is a form data type JSP. So this is the case that we are setting the locale to English. So regardless of the browsers, the locale, you know, this will be displayed in as a default English version. Okay. So this is what you see. Okay, so regardless of the client locale, meaning browser's locale, this is what you're going to see. Now you can change, you know, the browser locale. So in this case, I'm actually changing the locale to, in this case, Korean. Okay, and then when I display this page, it will display in Korean version because it's going to yeah, actually, yeah. So this is going to actually display. It's actually not this one. That is actually another JSP page. So this one is actually setting, I believe, English. Okay, so yeah, this is not correct. So different JSP page. Okay, so I'm going to actually give a demonstration in a few minutes. All right, so let's take a look at the lab documentation. So we are going to run JSTL tags. So let's run this guy. Okay, yeah, looks like I'm going to change this one to English again. Oh, yes, it's actually changed to English. Okay, all right. Okay, so let me see what's going on. So the module has not been deployed. Okay, I'm going to just recreate it. Yeah, this is the sample application that comes with the NetBeans. So I'm going to create a new project and JSTL examples 4 and yeah. So I'm going to just use this one as temp. And let's run this application. Any questions so far? explaining glassfish. So let me actually move on to I-18N internationalization. So you run the application, we are going to select I-18N and formatting tags, and you can actually see, you can just play around demo, and here you are going to, let me see why it's actually still, okay, so finally it's actually running. Okay, why is it taking so long? Okay, now it's deploying. Okay, here they go. Okay, so here you are going to select I-18N format, and here if you click this one, and you can select the version. So this is a case that you are actually sending the locale information as a request parameter, and in this case, depending on, it's going to actually take this locale information and then setting the locale by using a method. Okay, set locale method. Okay, so that is that, and now, yeah, actually it's displaying. Let me see, I thought actually I changed. Oh, okay, so this is the case. Yeah, this is actually the case. Let me actually change to English first. So I'm gonna go to options and go to under the hood. I'm gonna actually remove Korean. Okay. So, okay, and then, because what happens is that in the latest version of, let's say, Firefox and the Chrome, even though you actually set this the English as the display language, it is actually still setting the the one language that happened to have in the higher order as the language of choice in the EL. So I'm going to actually show you, later on, is using the HTTP monitor in NetBeans. Okay, so let me actually start with English first. Okay, so let me just okay, so let me see if I can just French. Okay, now this is now French. Yeah, so now is actually French, German. Okay, now if I go back and let's try like date. So what I want to show you is this is a case if we are using US locale. Okay, so regardless, it's going to display as US locale. Now here, this is a case that is going to use browser's locale. So my browser is set as English, so it's going to display as in English. Okay, so when you actually see HTTP monitor, you are going to see it is actually sending. Let me actually delete all records, and I'm going to actually try. Let's see whether it's going to. Yeah, it's actually cached. All right, so I'm going to actually show you later on when I actually change it. So for now, if you take a look at the code, so this is the case that is setting US locale regardless. So it will always display in the US format and US version. And this one, however, is actually is supposed to use a browser locale. So in my case, it's actually set as English. So it's going to actually display in English. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the browser to Korean. Okay, which is my native language. So I'm going to go over here and options and under the hood and language, and I'm going to add Korean right here, add. Okay, and I decide to use this one as a default. I mean, display Google Chrome in this language. I select this one. Now I have to restart the browser, so I have to clean them up. Okay, and then I'm going to, I'm going to start this browser again, and I'm going to, actually I forgot the URL, so I'm going to just run it again. Okay. And this time I'm going to just delete this one so that we can capture. So now I'm going to go to again I18N. Now I'm going to select this one, browser-based locale. Okay. Now at this point, even if I select this one, it's still displaying in English. The reason is this. If I see the the messages, the HTTP messages, it is actually still setting English as the weight of 08, and it's actually using Korean as 06. Okay, so in this case, English still wins. That's the reason it's displaying in English. So in order to actually display in Korean completely, I have to actually remove English. Okay, so in this Chrome case, so I'm gonna actually remove English from and option and this one, and change language settings. So here I'm going to select, I'm going to actually remove English. Okay, so now let's see, I can redisplay this one. Now it's actually displaying in Korean, and you can see this time if I actually see yeah, I think it didn't capture that. Okay, so I'm gonna just delete this guy, and I'm gonna just rerun this guy. Let me see what I can do this, and it captures or not. Okay, it doesn't capture, so I'm gonna just redeploy the application. Okay, so I'm gonna again go over here, ITN formatting tags and date. Okay, this time you are going to see it's just sending Korean as a locale in the header. Okay, so that's the reason it will be honored. Okay, so this is a little bit unique behavior, I think, in Chrome. Chrome-based behavior. So I'm not sure how other browsers are supposed to behave. Actually, in the case of Firefox, you cannot even actually change your the locale like this. I was told that you have to actually install the different version together, and then then you have to actually do some the language. Yeah, so you have to actually install some language pack and stuff like that. Okay. All right, so that is how things work. So let me actually see lab documentation. So we have done that. And you can certainly take a look at the code. And yeah, so this is the resources file. So we have a resources Java, and then German version of it, and the French version of it, and Italian version of it. Okay, and you can actually see these resources classes. Okay. Yeah, so typically you're going to be actually resources properties file, but you can also have it in the Java code. So this is an example where you can have it in the form of Java code. So if you're actually extending list resource bundle, then you can have this is the way that you can specify the key value pair. But usually you're going to have resources that the properties file. Okay. Okay, so I think we talked about that. Yeah, so this is something that I actually explained. Okay. Yeah, XML tags. So this. Okay, so let's try the XML tags here, and hit out, and this is what you get back. So here, this is the. Let me just explain couple here. Okay. So this is the case. Yeah. So how about this? Okay. So this is the case. I want to select all sports node. Okay, so we have a 3 sports node, which is this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So we are going to have a 4 sports node in the result of this XPath expression. Okay, and then when you're actually, then we're actually using X out, meaning we want to get the string value of that XPath expression. That means it's going to take the first node of the node set, which is this guy, and the string value of this node is going to be this swimming. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is the case. Basically, I want to select everything in this XML document, and then I want to display in the form of X out. That means it's going to just take the text value of all this. So looks 1, swimming, 23, and M, and all that stuff. Okay. This one is I want to get the all country node on the game. So we have 2 country node, right? So we have a 2 country node, this guy and this guy. Okay, and then we are going to use X out to display the string value of it. So it's going to take the first node of this, and then we'll display the string value of it. The string value of that is going to be this. So that's what you are going to see this. Okay, yeah. So hopefully that gives you a sense of how this X out and XPath things work. Okay, all right. Okay, so that is pretty much what I have in mind. Okay, let's see. All right, so we did the full bar and all that stuff. Okay. Oh, I don't have a homework for this. How is that possible? Okay. All right, so I have to add the homework. Okay, any questions?